Let's talk about the role and the power and the importance of women in public transportation. I'm Paul Comfort, and on this episode of Transit Unplugged, we take you to a live interview conducted at the TRB conference in Washington, D.C. with Bridgette Beato. She's the chair of WTS, the Women Transportation Seminar, the largest women's group in public transportation, and we dive into the role that this organization plays in promoting women in transit, the importance of having them represented in the top positions in our industry. And we also talk about the role of mentoring and how to maneuver your career in public transportation. It's a really powerful, interesting interview I think you'll find fascinating with Bridgette Beato, who not only is chair of WTS, but she also owns her own very successful business, Lumenor Consulting Group. Let's listen to this conversation now with Bridgette, recorded live at TRB. We're excited to be at the Washington, D.C. Convention Center in downtown Washington at the Transportation Research Board Conference, and I am with my good friend, Bridgette Beato. Bridgette, thanks for doing the show today.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'm excited to be here and talk with you.
Yeah, this is our fantastic February, where some of the top guests in the country are on our show, and you're chair of WTS. Tell us, what is WTS?
WTS is Women's Transportation Seminar, and everybody knows us simply as WTS, but I'd like to go a little bit into the background of that name. When we started the organization almost 50 years ago, women were not allowed to go to conferences, but they were allowed to attend seminars.
Wow.
It's unbelievable, especially in these times right now.
Yeah.
But that meaning and that history, we refuse to change the name because it's important to have that history as we move forward.
And tell us about the organization now.
The organization is phenomenal. We have over 70 chapters. We have 5 more chapters in formation right now. We've truly expanded internationally. We have Canadian chapters and more growing. We have over 10,000 members. So it's been a really high growth area. But the key about WTS that I think is so important is, our whole mission. It's attracting, advancing, and promoting women in transportation. And we do that through scholarship programs. We do that through training programs, networking, and creating opportunities for women to come into our industry, and we try to make sure that they stay. 26% is the figure of women in our industry. So we still need to work to get that number up.
That's interesting. Yeah. So speaking of your chapters and scholarships, you've got some amazing things going on there. So this is in February. But in December, you have a chapter in Washington, D.C., and they host a big holiday party, like a Christmas holiday party. And I've been going the last couple of years because in my role as the executive director of the North American Transit Alliance, we give a scholarship, a $2,500 scholarship to a woman who is pursuing advanced education in something related to transportation. Tell us about the scholarships and how all that works.
The scholarships are amazing. So altogether, WTS has awarded just under $1 million of scholarships last year. So it's significant. It's a large amount.
Yeah, and you have big sponsors like Boeing and all kinds of things like that. Yeah.
We have many sponsors across the country. They happen at our chapter levels as well as the international level. And it really is, it's amazing. Some like you are for advanced education. Others focus on people that are in trade schools. So we try to cover the full gamut.
That's cool. I like that.
And we do it for both, undergraduate as well as graduate programs.
Yeah.
We have training programs that go into the high school level. So we're really trying to attract these young women and bring them into the industry. And then after they're graduating, we work with them to get internships and to get jobs so they can stay in our industry.
That's really good, Bridgette. Yeah. The other thing I was going to mention about that holiday party is it's like the place to be in Washington, D.C. Everybody's there, from Randy Clark, the head of WMATA, to FTA people. I mean, the WTS D.C. chapter is like creating something not just for women, so to speak, right? For an event like that?
Absolutely. And it's, the foundation, we wouldn't be making any changes if it weren't for the men that were there at the table. And all of our chapters, we have awards where we recognize those men for the transformations that they're making. And all of our chapters have this amazing event. A lot of them call it a scholarship gala or an event.
Okay.
And sometimes it's coupled with a holiday party. And it is definitely the place to be.
Yeah. So just while you were saying that, I just remembered back when I was CEO of MTA in Baltimore, I remember WTS put on like a big luncheon. There was probably like 300 or 400 people there.
Absolutely.
And the Secretary of Transportation spoke, my boss and all that. I mean, you got your big time. I mean, I knew you were, but yeah.
Well, it's been amazing because, we have support from the U.S. DOT. We have support from local DOT commissioners and
secretaries. Is that right? How do they support you? What do they do?
So they've been supporting us with membership. They attend our events. They come and speak. We've had different representatives representatives and administrators that come and speak to the scholarship recipients, speak at our awards. They provide keynote. Just last night, we had Saval Oz as our keynote speaker
Oh,
at our
yeah.
chair's reception here at the TRB
Oh, yeah,
conference.
that was fun, too, by the way. That was a packed room with all the power players here.
It was. We were sold out once again. And so that's a thing that's really nice. And we like to host that at TRB because we see ourselves as a really good intersection across different modes. So whenever you're bringing everybody together, WTS is a great mechanism to bring together DOTs, to transit agencies, ports, aviation. And so it's a nice organization where you can have people from all those different areas.
Yeah, that's good. So what else do you all do? Let's say I'm a young woman and I want to get involved. I say, oh, I never heard about this before. They hear me talking to you. What would she do if she wanted to get involved, like in a local chapter or whatever?
You just show up and you
Okay.
introduce yourselves. You let somebody
Is there
know
like
that
a
you're.
membership fee or something? Or
There's
Yeah.
membership fees, and we have them at different levels, ranging from student all the way up to executive career.
Okay.
And there's different benefits that happen across each membership level. I think it's important whenever you go there, you just introduce yourself, let people know, and you will find yourself welcomed into a community. WTS has a saying, it's our code. If you ever need something, you call anybody that's a WTS member, and you reach out to them and you ask for help. And the WTS code is you will always get a response to that phone call.
Oh, that's good. And you all have mentorship programs too? Anything like that?
We do. We have them at the chapter as well as the international level. And it's really wonderful. We have it for all levels of leadership. So we have it we talked a little bit about the Transportation U program, which goes into high schools. We have it for emerging leaders, advancing leaders. We also have a Women Business Owners Roundtable where small businesses can get together and learn from each other and go through mentorship programs. So there's a lot of opportunities to try
Yeah.
and touch everyone across their career journeys.
Right. What about with the podcast, I talk to CEOs all the time. And one of the things I think that maybe people don't realize is it is kind of lonely at the top. You're not going to be openly vulnerable a lot of times. You go to a big national transportation conference. I won't say the name of those conferences, but everybody's got their chest puffed out and they're trying to be, the best they can be and put on a good show. But so let's say I'm somebody like a Leslie Richards or somebody who's at the CEO or C-suite level. What benefits do they get from WTS?
That's where we have our executive program. And
Okay.
so we'll do executive women's roundtables where, just like you said, you have opportunities in, more of a smaller setting to talk about some of the things that you may not want to be vulnerable about
Yeah.
in a large conference setting where, like you said, people may be putting their high-level presentation form forward.
Right.
But that's one of the ways that we do create those spaces where you can have the conversations and you can get the guidance and you can get the support and really just talk through some of the challenges, because you're right. When you're at the top, there's not a whole lot of people that you can really go to.
So today, we're in 2026. What struggles are there now for women to get involved at the highest levels? It seems like you've kind of broken the glass ceiling when it comes to the CEO. The last few years, there's been a lot of women CEOs appointed, I've noted, and I've had a lot of them on the podcast. What other things do you feel like you're working on, your challenges or whatever?
We do a lot of focus with women to say, you've got to raise your hand. You've got to put yourself out there
Oh, that's
and
good.
let it be known that you want to have those career advancement opportunities, and you need to reach out to the people that you work with, your colleagues, your mentors, and really find out and create that journey. Some people have started their careers and shared that they just kind of go along, but you have to really create that plan. It's just
Yeah.
like whenever you're running a business without a plan, you don't tend to achieve that. And it's the same thing with your career journeys.
Yeah.
Having that plan, letting people know that you're open to it, and not waiting to be called on, putting yourself out there to say, this is something that I want, and asking people to help coach. It's remarkable in this industry how willing people are to help each other.
Yeah. I love that. I have 3 thoughts on that. Let's talk about these a little bit. One is like the Andy Byford model of career planning. I've talked about this before on the show. Andy told me, people know Andy, the train daddy and all that stuff. So he started in London, then went to Toronto, was CEO there, then New York City, CEO there, then back to London. And now he's at Amtrak, helping to do Penn Station. And he told me he curated his career. He had a plan. He said, Paul, I knew I wanted to be the best CEO I could be, so I did a couple years at safety, a couple years in operations, a couple years in administration. So that's one model of careers. Let's talk about that. What do you think about that? That sounds like what you're encouraging women to look at is plan out your career. Don't just stay there.
I think so. I mean, and it's a great example. And he's one that has been very open about having a plan that's very specific and very detailed and defined. And I think that's definitely an option. And I think there's also things that curveballs come along.
That's right. That's what I wanted to talk about next. Let's go into that then. I'm more of the follow the river of life kind of guy. So, I'm in this river. I'm feeling like I'm meeting the people I need to meet. I'm testing whether I'm in the right place based on timing.
Mhm.
So I remember one time I was at a conference when I was in county management, and I wanted to talk to a guy about a job in a different county. And I'm walking out of this room with thousands of people, and I feel led to walk out this door. I walk out, I literally bump right into him. He was leaving the conference. I wouldn't have seen him, and he's very hard to get on the phone. That to me is like a signal. Okay, I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm on the right path. What do you think about that as a career path model?
Yeah, I think that people live their lives in different ways. And there's
Yeah.
some people that are just open and looking at all times for what's an opportunity that may present itself. Or to your point, you run into somebody and create that opportunity and,
Yeah.
put yourself out there. And I think there's sometimes the curveballs that are unplanned.
That's great, Bridgette. This is actually a good segue because I wanted you to kind of tell your story a little bit. I think it's a good model for women or men to look at. So where did you go to college and what were you interested in? How did you get into this industry?
So I went to college. I went to school at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh,
Okay.
and I studied management information systems.
MIS, the old MIS. I remember that.
Yes, I guess we'll say it's the precursor to all of our data analytics and visualization now.
Yeah.
But back then it was a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I came out of school and I went to work in the energy industry.
Okay.
I started doing large scale system implementations. And that's the career path that I followed for the first 10 years
Oh.
of my career journey. And I thought that that would be something I was going on, into perpetuity.
Yeah.
And that's actually how I fell into the public sector of transportation. I was doing supply chain logistics, really focused in the private side. And then I took an opportunity to help MARTA with a large system implementation.
Okay.
And I just fell in love with the industry. I loved that we were doing something intentional, that it was meaningful, that we were really creating a space that we could have an impact. Coming from other backgrounds, you just didn't really always know. You didn't have the openness and the support. I was able to call people up at other agencies and say, hey, how did you guys do this? And we could answer, where
Oh, yeah.
the early part of my resume, I wasn't even able to write down what clients because everything was confidential.
Oh, wow.
So it was
Yeah.
a complete shift in my perspective.
And we don't compete against each other. So you can call whoever, right? Philadelphia to get input on what you're doing in Pittsburgh or Atlanta. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
that was really wonderful. And I loved that aspect because we're, good stewards of taxpayer funds, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then what? Did you start your own company then? You decided to?
So the company, it's a very interesting story because I never envisioned myself as being an entrepreneur. That was actually not part of my plan.
Okay.
And I think that's where I talk about the curveballs
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
Referenced. For me personally, I had a family tragedy. And so that shifted everything. I
Mm.
was no longer able to continue along that path. And, sadly, and that's part of the reason that I became the chair of WTS, because there weren't opportunities for me, or I didn't feel there were opportunities for me in the kind of positions that I wanted to take with the larger firms.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I really created my business out of necessity.
Okay.
And I started it as what is referred to as a lifestyle business. I created it because I wanted to be able to do the work. I wanted to select whom I was working with, pick meaningful projects, but I needed flexibility in my own personal life.
Yeah. And so you started Lumenor Consulting. And what kind of projects did you start doing when you first kicked it off?
When I first kicked it off, I stuck with my large scale mega implementation. So I did a lot of the fare collection programs.
Oh, yeah.
I started
That's where I met you.
That's where we met.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was at MTA.
Back in
Yeah,
Baltimore.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
supported, agencies across North America, and actually went over to London to do some work with them. And it was wonderful. And then after 8 years, I decided, well, I want to start to build this. And so, Luminor is now 18 years old.
Okay.
Next November, we'll get to 20 years. So it's going to be a big celebration, for Luminor. And we've grown to over 50 people. And so now we've got across all different modes. And it shifted, like we talk about the
Yeah.
curveballs
You're
and
in
the
other
changes.
things now, right?
We're in other things, and we go across all modes of transportation.
Yeah. Talk about what you all do, your company.
So Luminor does environmental services. We still do large-scale mega implementations. So we support things like asset management. We have a project controls group. So for instance, here in Washington, D.C., we support the Metro Procurement Department, and we help them manage their program management, construction management, and GAEC contracts.
Okay.
Other groups within Luminor, we have the asset management, and then we do planning and geospatial.
So you decide to start your own company, you get it going, and you're kind of growing into different areas that your company can address. You're at 50 people now. You're almost not a small business anymore, but let's talk about small businesses. How do you get your work? Do you bid directly with agencies, or do you bid as a sub with a larger A&E, or both, or what's the story on that?
It's a combination. Early stages, we went after everything as a prime because I just didn't know any better.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow we won a couple of awards. I got my first contract with LA Metro, and then I was able to move over. SEPTA supported me on an award. I got some work in Baltimore MTA. But then as I wanted to start growing, then I really started to partner with the A&E firms.
Okay.
And working together with them. Now that I've gotten to be larger, now now I'm trying to create a different model where we go in and, we go in as a prime.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of support from the industry to do that. And I think the industry is really seeming to be supportive of that.
Yeah.
For instance, this project that I won as a prime in Washington, D.C., I brought in a minority firm that had not been working at the agency. So trying to create other models where maybe you flip it a little bit. I've got a large A&E firm with me supporting. And so by taking these economies of scale and bringing multiple firms together, we can support. Because I think what the agencies really need is they need specialized skills. And we've got the mega firms that do a fantastic job on all of these mega projects, but you have smaller firms, and really we come in with the boutique service. And I think it's important. And right now in our industry, we've got to really be intentional to make sure that we create that opportunity and allow that innovation to continue.
Thanks for listening to the Transit Unplugged podcast. We are so glad you're here. If you're enjoying this show, we know you'll love our other transit industry programs. On Transit Unplugged TV, Paul Comfort explores the food, culture, and transit systems around the globe. You get to see everything. You'll love this show. And every week, we also offer up the Transit Unplugged News Minute, where you can get the latest industry headlines in less than 60 seconds. You can find out more at transitunplugged.com. Now back to Paul Comfort for this edition of the award-winning Transit Unplugged podcast.
Tell us about how you bundle memberships for agencies.
So we've really expanded our agency partner program in recent years. And what we've done is we've created multiple levels to attract an agency at whatever is most meaningful to them. So some of them may be opportunities for them to have bundled memberships. Others that really want to provide training will bundle in our signature leadership training on both the executive and mid-career. And then the final one is if you want to have a combination of all of those. So we've created these new opportunities to attract the agencies.
Like a transit agency.
A transit agency, a DOT, a port.
Okay.
We've had, we're expanding across the full gamut. And this is a way that we can bring a lot of the different modes together, because I think WTS really sits there at that nexus. And so we have the different opportunities, and we want to keep women in transportation, whether you're going to go in from one mode to another. But having the agencies part of that conversation is critical.
So let's say back when I was CEO of MTA, so if I wanted to say, okay, I've got these, 6 women leaders that I see up and coming leaders in my agency, what would I do?
So you could contact WTS International.
Okay.
And it's offered through international, not at the chapter level,
Okay.
It's at the international level, and talk through with our CEO, Dr. Malika Reed Wilkins, what is meaningful to you. And she can direct as to which is going to be the most impactful for your particular agency.
And then sponsorships, talk about, how to, WTS is a nonprofit, but you still have to have money to run. How do you make your money other than, okay, you got those and you've got membership dues or anything else you do? Can other big organizations or companies get involved?
Absolutely. And we do. We've got different corporate partners and sponsors that come in and support at different levels. And there's opportunities that we create at everything from a pinnacle level all the way down to a pillar level, which is attracted to small businesses.
Okay.
So there's a variety of levels with different benefits at each level. And the ROI back to the sponsors is that we're actually doing a lot of training and a lot of advancement for their own employees.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the value proposition for them. They love it. It's not just that they love supporting WTS because it's a great organization, but a portion of their contributions go to fund our scholarships. And then we're actually creating meaningful value back to their employee base.
So if if a listener here is a woman who wants to, she's thinking about her career and not sure, that's where that mentorship program could come in. So they could actually meet with somebody through WTS and you would tell them, okay, let's talk about your plan. And if no money, they don't have to pay for that?
No, it's all part of your membership.
That's great, man.
It's part of your chapters. And then, we have, for instance, with the Women Business Owners Roundtable, I have women that reach out to me that are interested in starting their business. And we connect them and talk to them about what does it really look like? What does it really take?
Yeah.
And, help each other. But career journey wise, people want to talk through something. We do a signature leadership training. So we do that for executive and mid-career. So we actually have a multi-day group where you go through and you have the training to really go through and help. And then you have that cohort that can follow you through as you go through your career journey. So it's another mechanism to stay connected and work with people.
That's great. 2 more things I want to talk about. One is just so you have a really unique perspective. You are not only running a business for almost 20 years in the transportation industry, but you're head of a big national association. Where do you think we are as an industry coming into 2026 for public transportation? Just any general thoughts you have.
I think we're at a very transformative time.
Okay.
And I think if we are not intentional about the journey, then we could have some unintended consequences. There's a lot of change, and change is good.
Yes.
I think we need change, and I think when there's dramatic change like we're seeing, everything from the technologies that we have the
Yeah.
opportunity to, you've got AI, you've got autonomous vehicles, there's a lot of opportunities that come in here, but with opportunity comes risk.
Yeah.
And I think just understanding and making sure that as we make our decisions that we understand the full consequences of those. Even taking a look, shifting back to my perspective about small businesses. There's been a lot of change in that area. And, we have to be intentional to make sure that we create and continue to have those opportunities so that the businesses don't leave our industry.
That's right. Yeah, that's important. So we are here at TRB, the Transportation Research Board, and you all had this fantastic reception last night. What's the connection between WTS and TRB, other than you have 3 initials in your name?
So TRB is an MOU partner of ours.
Okay.
And so we partner with different industry organizations to help collaborate. So we have our mission as WTS to attract, promote, and advance women in transportation. Obviously, TRB does a lot of research, so an MOU where we can lean into each other to support and make sure that we all focus on our core missions. Similarly, we have MOUs with AASHTO, we have an MOU with APTA, COMTO, Latinos in Transit, and other organizations so that we can get that support and make sure that it stretches and expands our reach while allowing us to focus on our core mission and vision.
That's good. And talk to me about have you all done any grants or anything with TRB?
We've had different research programs that we've done in the past, and really helping to focus and gather information. It's amazing whenever you do some of these studies and you actually what comes at a gut feel, and then you see the layout and how deep things go. And that's been really transformative in terms of what we've gotten in terms of the information on women and access to different things, access to training, access to education, access to different opportunities. And I'd like to see our research expand in the future to really focus even more on the small business side and how we can do things to help elevate and attract and give them more opportunities.
That's great. Yeah, we're doing a panel today, actually, at the APTA booth about that, about the studies, some of the cool studies. Now we're in 2026. It's so important, I think, since we are at a time of transformation, to have documented studies about some of the cool things that are happening in the industry. We want to make sure, like AI serves us and we don't end up serving it. We don't want to be like Terminator movie, where AI becomes the overlord. I mean, some of I know everybody doesn't like Elon Musk, but the comment he made this week about, the singularity, we've just gone into that. It's kind of crazy, man, a little scary.
It's a little bit frightening.
Yeah. So we want to make sure we have studies and analytics to say, what's the best usage of that to serve our end goal, which is to serve our passengers. That's always our end goal in the industry. We've just done a whole series on the state of the industry. We did 6 podcasts, 2 at the end of the year, and then the first full month of January. And I got, everybody from David Zipper to give me what he thinks is coming to lots of other takes on things. And I think transformative is a great word to describe it. There's so many changes happening. States are stepping up in massive ways to support agencies, like in Chicago, where Illinois did that, and LA, California, other places like Pennsylvania with SEPTA, still looking to make sure they get enough funding. So, and then you've got a real emphasis out of Washington, which is a change from what the previous administration is. Not so much emphasis on zero-emission buses, not so much emphasis on DEI. They're doing other things now. So you're right. It's changing. And I think people have to, a group like WTS is a great place, first off, to stay in tune with that, and then also kind of plan your career and pivot around what's happening. That's good. One of the great places, I think you all throw some great events, and one of the great places to do that might be your upcoming conference. Tell us about that.
So we're going to be going to LA in May. So May in LA, we're going to have our annual conference there. And we've shifted the model this year where we go from Tuesday to Thursday to create opportunities for women to come up before and after and really do connections. And we'll start the conference off with some, executive women's roundtables, some women business owners roundtables. We'll have our 3 days of the conference, creating opportunities for people to come through and have conversations. One thing that I love about the conference is it's educational, but it's also inspirational. And we create something where people can come through, share experiences, give the guidance like you had talked about, having opportunities for conversations you may not have in another venue.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing that people find valuable. You've been to our Think Transit conference, I think, and we do that one-day executive summit. And I hear we had 60 people each year, last 2 years. I hear from people all the time saying to me, that's like the most open I've ever been able to be because we have Chatham House rules, meaning you don't quote anybody by name. And it's very important to have real conversations with people and not be worried about, it's going to get back to my board or whatever I want, but I need some honest input. And that, by the way, for listeners, is coming up at the end of March, the Think Transit Executive Summit for Executives. Oh, I know one other thing I was going to mention to you. You did a great job. I wanted to thank you publicly. You were a guest lecturer at my Villanova courses last year up in Philadelphia, and it's all graduate students in the engineering program. And you talked about career paths and all like that. And the dean just told me last week how much they enjoyed all those talks, and they invited me to come back and teach a course again in the fall. You want to come and, if you can fit it in your schedule, come be a guest lecture again?
I would love to. I mean, to me, that's one of the true benefits of being in a career in this industry, being able to give back to people. I mean, when I taught that course, just seeing their expressions, hearing their questions, I mean, they were really so engaged.
Yeah, they were engaged.
And it's so exciting.
Yeah.
You leave after that feeling energized, and that I can see why you went down that path. At first, whenever I heard you were teaching, I thought, where do you have time for this? But I see it's the kind of things that you just make the time for.
Yeah, and it energizes you. I think you and I are people, and we get energized when we're around people. So it's fun to see that. Well, this has been great. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up about WTS or anything else, or a word to women in the industry?
I'd like to make a word to the men and the women and just welcome you. Please, if you haven't been to WTS, just come to an event. Just come, show up, let people know it's your first event. We had 25% of the people at our TRB reception were non-members that had just shown up and said, hey, I've heard about you, would like to see what this is all about. So just show up, check us out, and hopefully you'll find some inspiration and decide to join us.
Yeah, we'll put a link to WTS in the show notes.
Yes, WTSinternational.org.
Very good. Excellent. Well, Bridgette, wish you all the best, both personally and professionally, in both your gigs as chair. So your term finishes up at the conference. Is that the idea?
Right. At the conclusion of the conference, we'll do the transition to the new
and
WTS.
Who is it? Can you announce it?
Oh, yes, it's known.
Okay.
Our incoming chair will be Erin Slayton. And she is a remarkable and dynamic leader. So she is going to be carrying this forward with great hands. We had a transformative year in WTS last year. We hired our new CEO and executive director, Dr. Malika Reed-Wilkins, and she is known to our industry. She came to us from the Atlanta Regional Commission, where she was an executive leader there as well. She's a past president. So I think I'm feeling very good about leaving WTS in good hands, because one of the pillars of my time as the chair was to focus on the resilience of the organization. I really spent the last 18 months listening and just hearing from our chapters, from our sponsors, from our MOU partners, our members, and just all the volunteers that make this an amazing organization. And so I think with listening becomes momentum. And so I'm really excited. I feel like I'm leaving the organization in a much better place, and I've seen that positive response. So I'm very much excited for the future of WTS. And now that we've hit 10,000, I don't think 15,000 is far away.
That's wonderful. You're going to hit it. Congrats.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transit Unplugged, the world's #1 transit executive podcast. I'm Julie Gates, executive producer of the podcast. Many thanks to the team that makes this show happen. Host and producer Paul Comfort. Producer Chris O'Keefe. Editor Patrick Emile. Associate producer Cindy Raskin. Transit Unplugged is being brought to you by Midaxo, passionate about moving the world's people. If you would enjoy behind-the-scenes insights and updates from the show, sign up for our weekly newsletter, which has links to can't-miss conversations with the biggest names in mobility. Head to transitunplugged.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Transit Unplugged.